Hi, everybody. My name is Val, and I'm the head of marketing at Caboose, an inclusive and safe online community for neurodivergent people to connect, learn, and find purpose. We are built by neurodivergent people for neurodivergent people, and that's what makes us different. So we have a special guest today, as I told everybody, also known as the Goo Man. Hello. This is Andrew Gray, and he is a trans neurodivergent STEM educator, content creator, STEM researcher, and of course, advocate in, of course, the TikTok realm. I would say that's your main platform, but also on all social media. And you are talk about a lot of brainy topics, in particular research or the lack thereof into how women's bodies and people who have a uterus function in different points in life, how medications interact, all sorts of environmental factors that can affect the inner workings of our body. So it's very interesting generally, but also your content is great because Andrew shares honest insights about life as a late diagnosed autistic person, which we can all relate with since most of us are late diagnosed, and kind of navigating the complexities of gender identity and hormonal change as we age. So as everybody knows, if you're here, his viral videos have resonated with thousands of neurodivergent people, and he's passionate, like us, in creating a space for conversations that are overlooked and that can help us when it comes to intersectional neurodivergent experiences and physical and mental health. So, sorry for that very long winded introduction, but here is Andrew. Welcome, Andrew. And
Hello, I'm
we are
so happy
happy
to
to
be
have you.
here.
So, do you want to say any words before I start the question round? So, just for everybody who is joining us to let you know, we're going to have some questions for Andrew, and that's going to go for about 30 to 40 minutes. And if you have any particular comments, you can put them in the chat. I will read them and then ask them back to Andrew. And then at the end, we're going to have about 15 minutes for Q&A. So if you have any additional questions, specific queries, please put them in the chat, and then we'll ask and give you the answers that hopefully you need, or at least point you in the right direction. I think that's a good first place to start. Sometimes we might not have all the answers on hand, but we can definitely point people in the right direction.
Yeah, so if I could say anything before I start, just to give you a little bit of background about who I am. I have over 15 years of experience in my field. I started off with botany, believe it or not. I was really into plants. That's where my nerdy biology phase started. And then I wanted to figure out my own journey. I wanted to figure out like what was wrong with me because I kept going from provider to provider to provider, and nobody could give me the answers. And it's been a 15-year journey. That's why I've been, that's why I have so many different interdisciplinary specialties within different scientific siloed things. I don't even know how you put it, like psychology, biology, neurobiology, pharmacology. Like that's why I know so many things about so many different things. Is it's been a very personal piece of my journey. So yeah, like I said, I'm super excited to
I
answer
can't wait to
some
ask you.
questions. So
As also
let's get
a
into
super
it.
huge bio geek, I don't know if you've noticed, but I love what you do. Like, I'm always like, oh my God, I'm learning so much. Is that a common experience? Bio geekery, psychology
You're making
geekery, like
it.
all sorts of things to understand ourselves and then at the same time help other people understand themselves too. So, first question. Can you tell us a bit about your journey, how you discovered you were neurodivergent, and how that intersected with your experience as a trans person?
Yeah. So I was actually diagnosed when I was a kid. I was nonverbal until I was 6. My parents uh, were not the best parents in the 90s for being raised as somebody that's autistic in the 90s knows. We didn't have a lot of categories for treatment, so they basically they got me diagnosed. They found out I had seizures. They treated the seizures, ignored the autism, and then I went through most of my life until I got to college. Just thinking that I was a weirdo, right? Because I showed up to school in the same beach cover outfit every day for like 40 days straight. Like that should have been a sign. But so I went to a psychiatrist and I was like, look, I think I have ADHD because I had growing up until I hit puberty, like all of the traditional forms of like what you would consider like male pattern hyperactivity, right? So I was like super hyper, super impulsive. I showed like a lot of that kind of side, and then I hit puberty, and then it kind of turned more into what we see for like presentations of ADHD in young women, right? So maladaptively daydreaming, inability to have executive tasks run correctly, so I went to the psychiatrist and they were like, "Oh no, like it's much deeper than ADHD. We'll get you your ADHD medication, but we got to talk about some other things." So then I went back and I started digging through my medical paperwork with my family, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I know we kind of told you that you were, but like you are." So that's how I found out. It really impacted a lot of my social life growing up. I had a really hard time interacting with people. I had a really hard time like understanding social norms and like what was okay, what wasn't. I have a really bad. I still do this to this day. Is I have a really bad time conversing with people where I don't interrupt them because I'm just like yes, 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 yes. I'm so like I'm very like golden retriever energy. So once I kind of figured that out and I got on my medication, it became like a night and day difference for how I could make friends. I started being able to form long term relationships. I also found people that were similar to me instead of sitting here being like, "What's wrong with me?" to being like, "Oh, I have a whole community of people out here that are just like me. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm cooked in a spicy way." So how being trans impacted that is I had a really horrible time with puberty and my cycles. And, I talk a lot about estrogen's impact on the brain and how it can affect your immune system. I had a lot of autoimmune diseases. So I kind of had an epiphany one night and I was like, I think I might be trans. So when I sought out hormones, and immediately most of my autoimmune diseases went away. Like a lot of my migraines went away, a lot of my macas went away, tons of stuff that are related with head, like hypermobility and joint, all that stuff that I was experiencing. A lot of that went away. And what was interesting is the boy side of my ADHD came out again. And I was like, oh, it's so interesting. So I had to like, that's kind of what keyed in. I was like, I know we talk about the different presentation, and like I always thought it was maybe genetics. It wasn't really related to hormones. It's both, but that kind of started me down the path of like, what do hormones do in the brain, and like, why is this happening? And then I even noticed like different types of ADHD medication would do certain things to me because they also can interact with this stuff, like Vyvanse versus Adderall. Adderall made me much more hyperactive but still focused, and then Vines made me very depressed and very clinical. I was like, it's interesting how these different things can bring out different personalities that are related in the same kind of Venn diagram. So that's all. And with that, actually, we'll go into this. So I think I'm stuck. Like I'm going into the equivalent of like trans perimenopause now because I've been on hormones for so long. I don't create a lot of that, and as I get older, regular stuff starts to go down. And we were talking about this earlier. Like I can't. I can't do a lot of stuff that I used to do. I used to be a public speaker for a living. I was in executive sales management. I used to just spend my entire day talking to people. Now you get 40 minutes out of me, and my brain wants to just go night night. You can't pay me enough to mask. Like I don't think I could ever do a corporate job again. I'd rather fling myself from a building than ever go back into an office under fluorescent lighting. But yeah, so it's we talk about how as we age and our hormones start to decline, how that impacts on things like our executive function, things like glutamate and dopamine and serotonin and your mood. And so my ADD has definitely gotten a lot more feral in the last couple of years because I'm just like,
No,
sorry.
that is a
Yeah, I hope
that
that
is
answered
very
that. So.
fair, and I'm so happy for you that you actually got some of the answers you wanted, and that a lot of your health issues were resolved and helped. I mean, that's amazing.
It was pretty fascinating. The one thing that I could call out the most too was like I have a lot of so I talk about like mental health on my channel, right? Like I'm pretty sure I had bipolar when I was younger before I went on my testosterone, and it definitely got rid of like a lot of that. Like a lot of my mood disorder stuff went away. There's a body of research that I found that made me feel a lot less alone that talks about the fact that trans men specifically will seek out hormones, and then they will find like a lot of relief from that kind of stuff, autoimmune diseases. And then again, I talk a lot about how like ADHD and bipolar and stuff like this could be pathogen driven, and it can technically be considered an autoimmune disease. So it a lot of that cleared up too. Like I felt like a person instead of somebody with just having like a consistent emotional mental breakdown all the time. If that makes sense. I don't know how else to put it, but I felt comfortable in my own skin for the first time in a long time. So
I don't know what happened, but I will have you having chat with Riverside later. Anywho, so forgive me for cutting you off inadvertently, but that's actually a good segue into our second question. Hopefully you can hear me okay. So let's keep on going. And again, folks, if you have any comments, just put them in the box. Are we having audio issues, Andrew, or can you still hear me?
I can still hear you. I had somebody call me just now, and for some reason it was like, "Would you like to leave the app?" And I was like, "No, I put you on." Yeah, Riverside is.
All right, so here's a good question for anybody who has seen you. What prompted you to start sharing your experiences publicly on TikTok? It's a very brave thing to do, not just because you're neurodivergent and late diagnosed, but also because of your identity and who you are. And you're very open about your experiences.
Yeah. So I was a sales exec in the tech industry. I got let go, and basically the entire industry imploded overnight. So huge, mass amounts of layoffs. I couldn't find a job, and at the same time, I was going through some really intense neurological issues. Because we were talking about me maybe starting to go a little bit into the perimenopause side. I started getting like a lot of just weird post COVID stuff. So I basically got long haul COVID, and I went from provider to provider, and nobody could help me. It got to the point where even my neurologist was like, "I think this might be a psychiatric thing," and I'm like, "You're telling me all the weird headaches that I'm getting from neuroinflammation?" Like, so I got so fed up with it. I joined TikTok about a year before, and it was really cool to go on and watch other people share their experiences. Like, I learned so much about myself, about our community on TikTok. I was like, you know what? I think this is a sign from the universe that maybe I should bring, excuse me, I should bring, my last 15 years of experience and my body of work to TikTok and share it with the world because if I can help somebody like me, if I can do one piece of good in the world, like make somebody feel seen, and I feel better about it because it was, man, it's a struggle when you go to all these doctors, you spend all this time, you do all of this research and you can't get any help, and yeah, that's basically what drove me to doing TikTok. Is I was like, I'm tired dealing with doctors. I think it was a good opportunity for me to put myself out in the world. I was really scared to do it. That was another thing too. I have a thing about doing things that I'm scared of because I want to be an adventurous person, and I'd always been terrified to put myself out there. Like I have social medias before this where it's just a lot of my artwork because I'm an artist too. But you'll never see my face. Like I would never put my face on anything because I didn't want any. I'm like, don't look at me. I'm hideous. So it was a good chance for me to be like, if you're scared of this, that means you should do it. So that's another reason why I started doing it too. So
I see you. I told people I was a behind the scenes kind of lady. So I would, kind of uplift other people. I was like working in the back, like, ghostwriting and stuff. And so I see a lot of that too. And I was also in tech. So like, are we the same person? Are you me? Or am I you? Uh, so
same flavor of the neurospicy.
yeah, maybe. And before I was cut off, I was about to say, like, I get you. Not, of course, on the trans side, but I'm on HRT. So I understand very intimately some of the changes. And for example, TikTok and you actually, and other creators were the first ones to ever tell me that you need estrogen to metabolize a lot of the medication that you take, that I took for my other chronic things. And so I was like, why does my medication no longer work? So yeah, it was a whole thing.
I'm so incredibly happy to hear that. I mean, anytime somebody tells me that like I had helped them with something like that, it's like this is why I do it. It makes it all worth it. Like, oh, that's so cool. I'm glad to hear that. I had to learn that way too with my ADHD medication because even on my HRT, I kept telling my psychiatrist, I'm like, why doesn't it work? Like every 4 hours, and then like certain times of the month it wouldn't work. Like I just didn't metabolize it correctly, so I just had to basically go off and figure it out on my own and like not tell him how I was taking it because like he just kept telling me, it's like, no, it works fine. You're the crazy one, and I'm like. I'm sitting here with somebody as a patient, and I'm telling you, this is how I feel. This is how it made. And it gets, no, all right, I'm gonna do it on my own. Like, screw it, I'll do it myself.
It's so frustrating when not only are sometimes you feel that you're not heard by medical professionals, but they're really not curious at all in terms of when it comes to experimenting with things or seeing, first off, accepting that some people metabolize medication differently. Like that's a very common thing in neurodivergent people and also people like with things like EDS, which is like a lot of those like funny things that make your organs and bits work differently. And so yeah, like traditional solutions don't apply, but a lot of them are like, well, if it's not in my textbook, then, good luck. Let's see you in 6 months if you're still here, kind of thing. And you're like, hey. That's not nice.
I've had some bad experiences with providers too, where they get condescending with me, and I'm like, this is the research I have. Like, I every time I like, I do my research. They're like, oh, do you do your research? Did you go on Facebook and did you read a lot of research memes on Facebook? I'm like, no, I actually went to college for this, and I can. Here, do you want me to bring in a whole book of science? I'll make you read them. I already read them, but if you want, I'll make you read them if you want to pay attention to me. It's like the fact that I don't know. I'm surprised. I'm surprised sometimes by the behavior of providers when they're supposed to be professional with patients.
There's a phrase, and it literally makes my butt clench, and it's like, "Did you consult Dr. Google?" And I just go, just like, I must feel like positive light universe of the like light energy of the universe. Please fill me now, so that I don't throw a chair across this room, so that I don't go to jail for attacking someone for saying something so incredibly stupid. Um,
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah,
Also, I mean, again, like I understand some people like reading something once and then thinking, oh yeah, that's the answer. But when it comes to hyperverbal research background, individuals, higher education, all that, it's like, do you think that I would bring it up with you, medical provider, if I did not have receipts or studies to back this up? Please.
I know that we want to do the question thing, so I want to say one more thing. I had that
Yeah, yeah.
neurologist that I told you that the one that she told me that she just thought it was a mental health issue, and she told me she couldn't help me anymore. Like I started describing to her, I'm like, do you? I didn't say like I'm trying to remember how we had this conversation. I was like, oh, look, you have me on Lamictal. Lamictal is a calcium gated ion channel medication. Blah blah blah. It helps with seizures. I understand why I'm on it, but I think it's causing some kind of functional conversion disorder. And then she just looked at me and she was like, you think functional conversion disorder is real? And I'm like, there's an entire institute and a whole group of people that specifically study functional conversion disorder. Do you not think it's real? And she was like, well, I know like somebody that studies it out of like, what did she said? I don't even, I was just really, she just looked at me and as soon as I said, she glazed over and she got so rude with me. And I'm like, I'm trying, like, shouldn't we be able to have like an actual conversation here? I don't know. I was just, she drove
She
me
got
crazy.
Yeah, not if they feel challenged. That's the problem. Some doctors are like, oh, like, wow, I didn't know. Like, let's figure this out together. And others are like, oh, no, like, do not dare challenge my authority. And that's when that sometimes you just have to cut it off and say, okay, you and I, we're not going to see eye to eye on this. So I'm just going to take my business elsewhere, my body elsewhere, which is a privilege to say. Like, not everybody can do that, but um, but yeah, I see what you're saying, and so that actually great segue, by the way. You're wonderful with your segues. You've spoken about how perimenopause and menopause can turn everything up for neurodivergent folks. Can you unpack what that looks like for you, and of course for other people? Because I think, again, a lot of late diagnosed people are female or, were born female, and they're only finding out literally, they start to take medication at the time when the change already happens. Like, I think that's kind of one of those things that occurs, or they found out after they pretty much were not treated for such a long time that then some of the damage is is done, and some of their symptoms worsen. So tell us a little bit more about what you know, what your experiences is, what other people's experiences could be, so that we're all more prepared together.
So if you like how do we start this? So if you have ADHD or if you have neurodivergent behaviors, if you have things like OCD, those tend to get a lot worse as you start to enter perimenopause because estrogen has a really intense relationship with dopamine, glutamate, serotonin, the things that make you happy, the things that can make you focused. Glutamate specifically it's a neurotoxic neurotransmitter, which means if you get too much of it, you get too hyperexcited, it can damage your brain. It's part of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease pathway. Estrogen not only helps you stimulate it, but it also helps your brain get rid of it. So as you get older and your estrogen goes lower, you can't clear it out as much. So your OCD will go off the charts. A lot of the neurodivergent behaviors that have to do with glutamate, like stimming, skin picking, things that are related to I'm trying to think, like sensory stuff, so like being in loud noises or going out in crowds, that stuff gets a lot worse. And then with dopamine, it starts to decrease the production in the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex. So you like normally for a lot of ADHD people that I know, like with me too, I would be able to have like weeks where I'd get everything done right, and then I'd go be a couch potato for a week. I'd go into paralysis. As you get older, you stop getting the productive piece of it, and you just go more into the couch potato piece because the dopamine isn't there. You can kind of think of like ADHD as being like the focus version of bipolar, right? So bipolar, you get like a release of neurotransmitters, you have a mood oopsie, right? And then you go into a form of mania. It's the same process in ADHD. It's just dopamine and focus instead of mood. So you lose those fun productive times. And you just start to become more and more ADD without any of the like the fun. Let's hyper focus on stuff for a while. So you become more impulsive. You can't run your day like you used to. Your executive functioning goes into the trash. What else? Depression can be a really big thing because again, your serotonin starts to go down. And there's a couple different theories on serotonin. Like some people in the psychiatric community think it's too much serotonin or too little serotonin. All I can say for that is as it goes down, people have a tendency to get a lot crappier of a mood, right? You get a lot more depressed. It's harder for you to find things to enjoy. You start to lose interest in your hobbies. You become fairly unmasked, as I put in that video that we were talking about, right? Because you can't do it anymore. Like you used to be able to do it, and now your brain just can't physically do it anymore. So that's kind of what we all get to look forward to as people with uteruses as time goes on, unless you choose certain types of treatments, whatever you want to do. You can do HRT, you can do medication. I see people sometimes embrace it. My sister has fairly embraced it, where she just walks around. She doesn't brush her teeth anymore. She doesn't brush her hair. She's always been really ADHD, but she's just like her kids are grown, so she's just like, I don't care anymore. I don't need to care. Like I don't, I'm gonna walk around and I'm gonna look like I'm dressed for Walmart, but it's gonna be all the time, and I'm not gonna care. So it depends on people's goal for their life too, like what they want to do, and so some people embrace it. Some people find the symptoms to be so horrific to manage that they finally seek treatment, or they finally get a provider to listen to them because it's so obvious that they finally get treatment. So that's what we see a lot of time, especially in people with uteruses, because I think that there's this expectation too with women to mask a lot harder than for men. And again, the presentation kind of comes out a different way because of the sex hormone role in it. But yeah. I hope that answered your question.
It did. And also, I mean, so I feel also the problem is your responsibilities increase as you age, but then these capabilities decrease. Added to that, the fact that your body literally goes through a tough physical change because estrogen can also change your bone density. You can also have like other physical symptoms, like all the physical bad stuff that comes with, not producing the correct amounts of hormones in your body as you naturally decline. It is tough. Like it's what you were experiencing your whole life just on fire.
One of my favorite papers, and I don't know if I can put this anywhere in the app. I'll send it to you so you can read it. But it's literally like women in menopause, a perfect storm of autism, and it was the most sassy thing I've ever read, and I loved it because they were like, you have no idea what's coming for you, and it sucks that the Western medical complex is so crappy towards women, and this is why we're seeing all this stuff, and why isn't anybody paying attention? And then it just outlines like a lot of the stuff that we just talked about. Like there's a really interesting hormone in the brain called dopamine beta hydroxylase, and that basically is responsible for converting dopamine into norepinephrine, right? So norepinephrine is why a lot of people get too much anxiety, or they get like a little too agitated. It's an agitating chemical, and so you can, as you get older, get increased activity from that because estrogen acts against that, and so you'll convert all of your dopamine that you do get into norepinephrine, and then it just turns you into like like that all the time. So like you're not even converting the things in your brain correctly the way that you used to. So it's wild. Plus, we talked about the autoimmune pieces for it too. So estrogen is very protective towards the body and the brain for memory function, for things like mast cell activation. You'll have two camps. You have somebody that has usually like a really estrogen dominant cycle, so they'll have like a lessening of autoimmune diseases as they get older. And then you get people that usually have pathogen driven stuff that they rely on their estrogen to protect them and keep their body stable. Then start to have really bad autoimmune diseases. Like we see this with mast cell activation, like a lot. People that are go like hypermobility is part of that. Like there's something called the autoimmune pentad that's really on that side when it comes to decreasing estrogen becoming a problem. So it's mast cell activation, hypermobility, GI and dysbiosis. So like your stomach getting all messed up. They just put blanket autoimmune diseases there, and then I forget what the last one is. But it also comes along with like the neurological stuff that we just talked about for ASD and neurodivergent people. So it's
The brain fog is a killer. We don't know the link between, the onset of dementia or cognitive decline. And estrogen has so many more effects in the female body than any any researcher could have thought about like 10 years ago, which is why they also don't do hysterectomies anymore like they used to, because like they're like, oh yeah, you don't need that anymore. Like bye, like you've already had your kids. Anybody who has had a hysterectomy can tell you that they have to really weigh the health risks and rewards to that, because they are severe. Like it's wild.
I was doing a lot of research a while back, and I didn't realize how prevalent hysterectomies were to the point where like Marilyn Monroe went in for surgery, and she put a post-it note. She put a note on her and said, "Please do not take out my uterus, no matter what happens." My mom had a hysterectomy. Like I know. More, the fact that I know like enough to count on one hand of the elderly women in my life who have had history, like that's insane. So that used to just be the go-to. Like, oh yeah, just just take it out. Like we don't know what it does, I guess. So we're just gonna, it's a female thing. Just get rid of it. So yeah, that was kind of mind blowing to me. I was just like, oh, they just used to just take it out, and then they wouldn't offer like hormone replacement therapy either. Like my mom got hers when she was 25, and they never put her on anything supplemental. So that.
It took me 2 years to convince people for mine. My own doctor, my own primary care physician, who is 65 now, a very nice Indian lady. Um, but she got hers this year, and she told me, I am so sorry, but let me tell you, as a doctor, they told us not to recommend HRT to people because of the cancer risks. We were told that only in the worst of cases should we recommend it, and that has changed now. But that sucks, like for her too, because she probably could have gotten it sooner, and so she missed out on the health benefits of like not, of having a body that was a bit more well controlled and managed, rather than just kind of, I know, white knuckling it until something breaks.
So that's it's pretty nuts. I'm trying to think. We had one more question that was related to. See,
We
we were
did.
talking about my brain's starting to go a little bit. Let's
Mhm.
do. I don't know how much more time we have, but
Let's do
what's
the
another
last
question?
question. Well, the last question is, what are the most surprising or misunderstood ways menopause affects autistic or ADHD brains in particular? You mentioned some of them already, um, but are there any unusual case scenarios or outliers where you go like you wouldn't think? Like, for example, I can say from personal experience, I think that my autistic symptoms are a little bit more pronounced, but that could also just be because my ADHD meds work. Like they kind of so I'm AUDHD, so that's an interesting use case. But what else can you think of that would be really interesting for people to know, or just specifically the neurodivergent community, as to finish off before we start questions?
Yeah. We talked a little bit about OCD and things that fall under the neurodivergent umbrella. I don't think people understand how much OCD can affect your life in weird ways, right? So we talked about intrusive thoughts. Like I never realized that a lot of my intrusive thoughts were because of my OCD, and I don't think a lot of people walk around with neurodivergence and autism realize like it's a fun grab bag of all of them. Like if you're autistic, you probably have a little bit of ADHD, a little bit of OCD. So like things that you're not attributing to that, right? And one of those would be like skin picking. Like as you get older, like chewing your nails, picking your acne, picking at your skin, picking at things.
not
Obsessively rearranging things. I know, huh?
not me. I'm like, don't,
It's
no,
not me. I'm so happy that my
no.
acne. So here, I'll be real gross right now, but if you look right here, I have something called lip licking dermatitis because I developed this 2 years ago where I will sit and I will obsessively chew the bottom of my lip. and that is part of the perimenopause thing that again you don't think of. So things like that, things that are like self-harming behaviors that aren't really necessarily what you would think are self-harming behaviors. What else for ADHD people? Again, it's a lot of it's the mood stuff. So like the thoughts that you get where like you're worthless and you can't do anything, and like that self-critical voice in your head gets a lot worse. People don't realize that's part of ADHD and OCD and neurodivergence. What else? What else? Oh, the obsession. Here's a good one. So as you get older, your obsession with certain types of. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. I'm listening. Sorry. I'm just slow, but
No. Um, so like autistic people have a tendency to have like obsessions around like items of clothes and colors and things. So that gets a lot more intense. I always think of like my neurodivergent elderly women that I've met over my life with their rings that they're obsessed with wearing, or their like jewelry that they all have to put on, or the fact that they only wear like psychedelic purple moo-moos. Like it's that kind of stuff. Like I have two pairs of shoes. I only wear two pairs of shoes. Those are the only two pairs of shoes. Um, Even like my grandma obsessively like hoarding bags, or like when we did Christmas, we had to like perfectly unclip all of the wrapping paper, and then she had to refold the wrapping paper. It's stuff like that you don't realize is kind of a not like a neurodivergent thing, and it gets worse as you get older because this obsession with how we assign like feelings to items and shapes and colors. Like I know a lot of people responded to my video about being green. Like the older you get, like the more obsessed with the color green a lot of autistic people get. So they're like, I'm gonna hoard houseplants. I want 90 houseplants.
I'm
Stuff like that.
laughing because
Hoarding is
it's so true. You're
like
calling me
hoarding is
out.
another big thing.
Your power is green.
I see you over there. It's all green.
No, but
So
I get it. I mean, you're kind of it sounds like you're threatening me with a good time. I mean, I know it's a double-edged sword. Like some things are more socially acceptable than others, but are you saying that we're going to get even more extra as we age? Because want to embrace being a menace. In my
that's
old
a good.
age, I will be a neurodivergent menace to everyone, and I'm honestly that's something to look forward to.
We were talking about earlier how some people just embrace it. Some people want to, some people embrace it and they become ungovernable, right? Like that little old lady in the park that's like flipping off children. She's just like, nobody's gonna suspect me. I'm 80. I just robbed a store. No one knows. You know, like. um, so
Sophia from the Golden Girls. You were going to be Sophia from the Golden Girls, is what you're saying. Like,
yeah, yeah, basically. There's a reason for that.
it's like you get to be one Golden Girl in your twilight years. Choose wisely. Choose your fighter.
Oh God, no! I don't even. I'd be Betty White. I'm too nice. I'd be Betty White. I'd just be like, okay.
No, I definitely am. I'd Sophia. That's my spirit animal. It's Golden Girls.
I can only hope to be as sassy. I don't. Like, here's the weird part. The older I get, the less sassy I get. I don't know if it's part of the hormones, but like, I feel like I'm just gonna be this like super sweet old man that feeds the ducks every morning at the pond by his house. He just walks around with his cane. Like, it's time to feed. That has his like elderly dog that he walks with. You know.
Can I come?
Like, I think
That
that's.
sounds nice.
Ah,
I like ducks. Did you see my video where I was adopted by like a gander of geese and their babies and they let me touch them? They did.
no.
Yeah. I don't know them, but I had food. I have food in my bag just for those occasions. I'm there, sir. Like I just
This is okay. So this is what I love. Like the older we get, the more feral. Like I have crow friends now. I made crow friends here, and they followed me to the hotel. And so I have crow friends. They bring me shiny things. I feed them. They follow me everywhere. Like I know it's so cool. It's so cool. I never thought I'd be the crow dude. I
you're
know it's
living
so
my
cool.
dream. It's my bucket list item literally to be adopted by a murder of crows. This is okay. I see your crows. I give you geese. Maybe together we'll have an army that makes us unstoppable.
I mean, in Canada they use geese as guard dogs because they're mean. They're
They
very mean. So
they can be. I think they're sweet. Like they'll hiss at me and you just go like, "Oh, come on." Like, oh, stop
boop.
it.
Hope you stop hissing at me. What are you doing over there? You just stop.
I have white lady audacity. It's like, like the white lady will like pet anything. Like that's uh yeah, sure. I can't.
No sense of self-preservation. A bear comes up to you, like, "Oh, come here! You're so cute with your big old brown face." I don't know. I've seen some pretty
Yeah.
art.
I like animals. I like animals more than people. So like yeah, like heck yeah, I choose the bear. 1,000 times the
Yeah,
bear.
that's true. I would also choose the bear. Okay. Oof.
So
All right.
let me see. I have not seen any questions in the live stream chat, so then we get to choose one from the list. From the list. Let me see. Do I choose? Do you choose? Like, let's see.
Oh no, it's host choice. Go for it.
Okay, okay. So here's a good one. Are there any resources, books, creators, and tips that you recommend? You're always putting your sources and citing your sources in your videos. So I tell people whenever, there's something really insightful that you said to just go to your content because you literally like post it on every one. But is there anything else or any other creators that you just want to give a shout out to? Um, during this journey, any good books that you may recommend? Your book, for example, I know that you are writing. Well, you write. You've written smaller, like they're not stories, but essentially they're like collections in a way. So tell us more.
If there was one book that I could recommend, I don't remember the name of the author right now, but my dogs are starting to get irritated too. So if you hear little tiny bean going "Meow" in the back, that's her. But it's a book called Pieces of the Puzzle. So when I was in high school, I had an eating disorder really bad, and my parents were not great, so I didn't really have a lot of resources, and so I was like, I am determined to self recover. And eating disorders are very common in young women with ADHD, and it was not talked about back then. It's one of those things where it's
Yeah.
the dopamine cycle that we search for too. So I picked up this book called Pieces of the Puzzle, and it was a self help workbook for women with ADHD, and it was one of the most illuminating books I've ever read. I think it was published back in like 2005, but it still remains like one of the best pieces of literature I've ever read that's geared specifically towards women, ADHD, and all of the stuff that kind of comes along that we don't talk about as a society that are, attributed to women having ADHD, like eating disorders. So, it's a trauma workbook. It's also really informative from a scientific point of view for neurobiology. And yeah, so I would recommend that one. There's another creator on TikTok that I really like. His name is Dr. H. He always talks about like similar topics to what I do, but he focuses on like a kind of a different subset of I don't know how to describe him. Like he was talking about fascia the other day, and he was focusing on connective tissues and stuff, where I'm like hormones and the neurobiology behind things and the autoimmune piece. He does a lot more of like the pathophysiological stuff that has to do with it. So I love him. I'm trying to remember. There was another lady. She's a best selling author out of Canada. Dr. Jen Ogden, I want to say her name is. And she wrote a book that is a best-selling New York Times best-selling book about going through menopause in Western society, like all the stuff that doctors won't tell you, how to treat yourself, all the stuff that's been studied that's actually helpful for it. I want to say her name is Dr. Jen Ogden. And like I said, you could just look up Canadian OBGYN best-selling author. She'll pop up. And it's just amazing book. That was one of my favorite reads for that. What else? And then, things that I do to manage my day. I always tell patients, I always tell people, your diet is the best thing that you can control. The diet piece of what you have to deal with mentally is really important. So, like, I really have to watch what I eat. I used to go down and go ham on like Costco size things with sour gummy worms. I love sour gummy candy. I love spicy food. I love chocolate like it's nobody's business, and I can't have that stuff so much as I get older anymore. So I have to be really careful about like what I eat, how I eat. I usually eat like a lot of low carb stuff. I eat a lot of fruit. Like I'm not technically low carb. I just don't eat like a lot of refined carbohydrates or refined sugar. That really helps with a lot of the brain fog. It helps a lot with like the heads and hypermobility and stuff. But yeah, those would be my top shout outs. Oh, and take your vitamin D.
That's fantastic advice. Also, like, yeah, folks, like vitamin D, like a lot of us are vitamin D deficient, and a lot of other medications don't work if you don't have vitamin D. And I think also, I'll add to that, magnesium and vitamin D together, because if you don't have one, the other one doesn't work even if you take it. Like, it's just one of those things. You learn.
Magnesium is the other one. You're right. No, magnesium I would put above vitamin D, but specifically for women, vitamin D works with your calcium regulation and helps your bones not get brittle. So there's that too.
And we're not
Yes.
outdoor people as much as we were. Like we're very like indoor humans now, so we don't get any natural vitamin D from the sun or as much. So yeah, folks, like take your vitamin D, take your magnesium. The resources are wonderful, and if for any reason, like I'm gonna double check with you like what those books were, and I will add them in the chat when we have recorded this. So don't worry, folks. Like we'll tell you exactly which books the Goo Man has recommended. Are you up for one more question?
I am. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, lovely,
More.
because we still have a little bit of time. So, let's see. What's something you wish more people understood about the intersection of identity, neurology, and hormonal change? And why do you think these things are so difficult for the general populace to grasp and empathize with?
Oh, that is such a loaded, intense question.
I know.
I think it's
Sorry.
okay. Let me see if I can break this down because a lot of it has to do with societal expectations for like gender hierarchies, right? Like we have the patriarchy, this uh, a hierarchy like what we have in Western society depends on keeping people stuck in little boxes, right? And oppressing them and making them conform. And transgender people are living proof that we don't have to play by the rules, right? We don't have to play by the majority of the religious society, like America's founded on the most weird religious people too, not just Christians, but like puritanical Christians, like the real weird ones where Europe was like, you guys need to leave, like you guys are a little too weird for us. So we have these really weird. I say weird. We have very interesting ideas around sex and gender and the expectations of certain gender roles and things like that. So I think a lot of that has impacted scientific research for the last 50, 60 years. So there's not a lot of research out that and until the last about I'd say 8 to 10 years. And what was really interesting too, I know that the political climate in America is kind of if you're a pattern recognizer, you might recognize World War II Germany. The first thing that they did before they started with Jewish people is they did disabled people, trans people, queer people, and gay people. And there was actually a institute in Germany that specifically focused on transgender studies for hormones and why this happened. And they burned it to the ground and they destroyed everything in it. So again, like the way our society works, we can't exist because we prove that the power is useless, right? Like you can't oppress us and put us in a box and use that to oppress us and keep us in gender roles, right? We can't handmaiden tales us. Like we're just like, I'm gonna take my hormones anywhere. I'm gonna be a fair little monster. So when it comes to what's really interesting to me when it comes to neurobiology and hormones is how hormones can make you feel a certain way, right? Like I always felt like a man. When I was growing up, I wanted to do karate. I had a bowl. My mom put me in a bowl haircut, but I had people come up and ask me like, "Are you a boy or a girl?" Like, I didn't understand because I would walk around like a feral little boy. I was hyperactive. I was impulsive. I had all of the same traits. I used to ride bikes with the boys in the neighborhood. I used to hang out with dudes mainly because I just vibed. Like we had the same kind of vibe, and when I hit puberty, I wanted to try to be pretty, and like I felt there were times in my life when I was female presenting where like I got what feeling pretty looked like, and I got what it felt like to be feminine. So the idea that hormones can kind of influence how we feel like that is nuts, right? Because that I don't know. To me, that's such like a weird metaphysical question about like what makes humanity, what makes us. Like, are we our brains? Are we our thoughts and experiences? Do we have control over anything we really feel? Like you even look at other cultures, right, and you can see that while gender norms and expectations are different, there's still always a gender norm regardless, right? Like whether you have a matriarchal society, a patriarchal society, there's always beauty standards. There's always these expectations within a society that you have to act a certain way. And a lot of societies, you triggered the model. I could do a whole college course on this because it's so fascinating to me. Because I'm like, outside of Western society, trans people have been around for thousands of years. They're an accepted place in society. In India, they have, I think they're Hijiras, Polynesian culture. They had up to like 6 different genders you could technically have, and it was all based on these rules and expectations. But it's interesting to me. One of the things I think with autistic people, why there's such a high overlap between transgender people and autistic people, is the way autistic people have a tendency to associate physical things with feelings the way that holistic people don't, right? Like we can, like if you have synesthesia, right? Like you can think Monday's red, Monday is a red day. Wednesday is a green day. So we associate colors and symbols with certain feelings and norms. So like my gender isn't necessarily the way an holistic person would feel about gender. Like I feel like my gender represents like a symbolic part of me, if that makes sense. Like I love my hat. I autistically wear the same three hats for like I've had this hat for 10 years. It's the only hat I want to wear when I work out. It makes me feel masculine. It is my man hat. So, we were talking about those older ladies just getting feral and wearing their rings. It's that kind of thing, right? Like we associate our personality and our gender with these different things, if that makes sense. So I'll end it there 'cause
Well,
I'm on
and
for
we get
hours
more
about it.
comfortable expressing that. I think also it has a little bit to do with like you just have no shits or fucks to give. Like the feel of fucks is barren, and so all the stuff that you spent all your 20s suppressing in an effort to fit in because you had to, like we had to fit in to survive versus kids because so our parents would take care of us, and then as young adults so that the groups that we wanted to be part of would accept us, until we found where we fit. And then I guess a cool switch from the change, what can happen to anybody between the ages of like 20 and 50, is just you just don't care as much, and that is liberating because you're finally free to be the person that you always wanted to be. You can wear green every day, you can wear the purple sparkly moo, you can go feed the ducks like that. Like, somebody asked you your hobby is like ducks. Like that, who is going to stop you? So it's not all bad. It's just, like everything, it has to be managed and accepted and embraced. And I think talking about it and understanding it is a huge first step, and trying to explain it to people who hopefully are receptive to trying to understand. We can't make people understand if they don't want to, but we can certainly try to explain.
Agreed. 100% agreed. That was a beautifully well put sentiment towards that.
Thank you. But this was wonderful. I think that's all for today. And because I don't want to overtax you, but let me finish off the conversation and, wrap this up. So thank you so much, Andrew, for your time. Please follow the Goo Man, so that's GOOMAN, on all his socials. And let us know if you would like to invite him back for another Divergent discussion. We would be happy to have him, or if you would like to see him at a different Caboose event, we will be having more as our team expands and as our reach around the world gets a little bit bigger. So just a reminder to the audience, we have other Divergent discussions coming up. We'll be talking to an AS Social founder, Sam Wall, about sensory profiles. Joe from Kaiko Fidgets will talk about stimming, and we will have Sarah Hayden join us next month too. You can get those tickets in advance by going to the Caboose app and looking at our Humanitics website. That's where we sell tickets. If you can't afford things, that's okay. We have everything from free all the way to a very low fee. And if you have NDIS benefits from the Australian government, you get even a lower fee than that because we want to make this accessible. So thank you so much, Andrew. Do you have any finishing remarks before I let you go? And hopefully you will have a lovely weekend. Happy Friday.
No, this is a pleasure. This was a great conversation. Again, I want to thank you so much for making the process to be here so easy and being so personable. And I really enjoyed the conversation. I hope that everybody on here got to learn a lot and enjoyed listening to us gab about the ducks and the crows. But yeah, I'll I'll keep an eye out for your message for those books, and I'll get those resources for you. And I hope you have a good weekend as well.
Perfect. Like TLDR, folks. Like, what was this conversation about? Like ducks and crows? And yes, you can. Yeah, exactly. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't wear the sparkly purple moo. But take care of yourself, and also understand how your body and your mind works. And if your doctor's not willing to, then here are the resources for you to help yourself and your friends and your family figure it out. Because we can help each other. If other people don't help us, we can help each other.
Beauty of community.
The beauty of community. So thank you so much. This was it for our Divergent discussions with the Jagoo Man. And please, for more community and support and more Divergent discussions, please download the Caboose app. It is free. We do not charge. And we look forward to connecting with you guys for more events in the future. Andrew, have a lovely weekend, and thank you so much for coming and joining me this hour. Despite the technical issues, apologies again.
It's a great time. Anyway, yes, of course.
Just bye bye. Stop the recording.
I'm like, wait.
I'm gonna try to stop the recording. It's a little frizzy, but we'll okay.